All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Ecom Power Podcast. And, well, I should say the Ecom Power and Walmart Marketplace Podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing sourcing the right product for the Walmart Marketplace. And joining me today is the co-host, Mikhail Chapnik. How are you?
I'm great, Nora. How are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good.
Good. Yeah, I'm so excited for today's conversation. This is like one of my favorite topics. I think it's never boring, a private label.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Now, I do have to put Kelsey. So, Kelsey's the producer of the podcast on alert because we have started to get a crazy thunderstorm here. So, I might go down power outage. So, just letting you know, you probably can't hear the thunder, but it's actually kind of crazy. But anyways, Kelsey, just a heads up, okay? So, there's no excuse. No excuse, Kelsey. So he's
I
gonna
have the
fill.
opposite problem. It's overly hot in here.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah.
But he'll fill in for me. Anyways, today, why don't we go over some of the topics we'll be talking about?
Yes. So today we're going to talk about why sellers should start. Um, where should sellers start when they're sourcing their first private label. We can also talk about how to find a winning product for Walmart in 2023 and what are the best ways to ship your inventory from overseas and so much more interesting. So yes, and Norm, can you tell a little bit
Yeah.
the audience about our guest?
Well, first of all, before we do that, just one more time, just waiting for everybody to get in and listen live. But welcome to the Ecom Power podcast. But before we get to our guest, just a quick word from our sponsor. Are you struggling with your Walmart Marketplace business? Do you need help from a skilled and reliable virtual assistant? Well, look no further than Virtual Assistant Academy or VAA Philippines. VAA specializes in locating, screening, training, and supporting high-quality Walmart VAs in the Philippines. Their VAs receive extensive Walmart training and ongoing professional development and are committed to long-term working relationships with you. Partner with VAA and experience the peace of mind knowing that you have a dedicated Walmart-trained VA who's up to date with the latest tools and trends in the dynamic Walmart Marketplace. Head over to VAAphilippines.com and let VAA match you with your ideal VA today. Okay, so that was today, by the way, before I got so rudely cut off. Anyways, today we are discussing sourcing the right product for the Walmart Marketplace. Our guest is the founder of Zignify, a global product. Zignify? I thought it was Zipify. Anyways,
Yeah, you said correct. Zignify.
What's that?
You said correct.
Okay, I thought there was a possible typo. But anyways, Zignify Global Product Sourcing. She's also the co-founder of two great Amazon brands. She speaks at conferences and events around the world, utilizing her 18 years of experience in the global product sourcing, supply chain, logistics, import and export, and e-commerce fields. She's consulted for BCG, Alibaba, Jupe, and other organizations that required help with sourcing and supply chain management. We're talking about Yulia, Blinova. And let's see. Do we have another? No, we don't. We're going right to Yulia. Hello, Yulia.
Yes.
Hello, guys. How are you today?
We are good.
You know what? I have to tell you, completely transparent. I've been telling your husband or saying Zipify rather than Zignify.
There is a company that's called Zignify, but they are, I think, developing apps for Shopify or something like this. So, well, you've.
Well, you know what? Old guys get a pass. Get out of jail free.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so why don't we just start off talking about sellers starting out into private label, they don't have a big budget. Like most people that are taking a course, they want to do something as a side hustle, and they don't want to spend tens, of thousands of dollars. So, what would you recommend for them?
Well, look, there are two ways to kind of go about it. Is the first way is already sell branded products. For example, if you take, I don't know, let's go Nivea, L'Oreal, or something like this, when you're not doing private label, and you can go to distributors, you can buy products from them, and for example, resell them on your e-commerce website or on Amazon. But if you're going into private label specifically, one of the wonderful choices, of course, is to utilize, for example, China for your sourcing needs, or some other up and coming countries, right? A lot of people, for example, don't want to go sourcing into Mexico, or they're afraid of going to US, even though they want to sell in US, because they think that, oh my God, the MOQ, the minimum order quantity, is going to be so huge. And sometimes they're right, but sometimes they're wrong. So one of the mistakes that people are doing is they're not talking to enough potential manufacturers, maybe even trading companies, and they're not asking the right questions. The right questions are, can I have a smaller MOQ? How small can I have it, right? And try to negotiate on those terms. Because sometimes it is a lot lower than people think. I have tons of examples where people came to me and said, hey, this particular manufacturer is giving us an MOQ, minimum order quantity, of 10,000 pieces. We're like, okay, how many manufacturers did you talk to? It's like, two. Awesome. I mean, you need to kind of make sure your number is quite large. Talk to 10, talk to 15, kind of bet them against each other. So when you're on a small budget, try to do private label kind of as little as possible in terms of customization, right? Let's say you have, I don't know, a cup, right? It's July, but I still drink my tea out of a Christmas mug, and you would like to produce mugs for tea or for coffee. Before you start tons of designs and customization on those products, just see what the manufacturer has, and maybe they have some stock that they have laying around, and you can purchase that, and your MOQs can be as low as 50 pieces, right? So this is kind of a starting point. Look at the countries where they have a developing economy, right? We're looking at China, we're looking at Pakistan, we're looking at India, and try to negotiate the volumes with them. So it's not impossible to have lower quantities and at lower budgets as well. One thing in China, there's kind of a rule of thumb that I have experienced. I spent 9 years living in China, and I actually come from that region. There is kind of a rule of thumb. If you're ordering small products, again, let's take cups or into consideration. Think about an order that will cover about $1,500 to $2,000, right? This is kind of the minimum the factories want to take in terms of the order quantity. So some people come to me and say, oh, they want $10,000. We go back to the factory, we talk to them for 5 minutes. Okay, $2,000 order quantity. That's fine. Okay, let's go with that. So you need to talk to people, not just say, oh my God, yes, they told me this. That means it's true. Don't trust people so easily. Yeah.
So negotiating is key.
Yes. Yeah, some people are like, I guess, born with that. I will always negotiate. I don't have a problem. But some people
But you see, this is the
they need to
point.
learn that. They need to learn that.
If you are married, if you have a husband, if you have a wife, you are negotiating all the time. So there is
Not me.
an inner, no, you just give in, or
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life.
happy life. Yeah. With my husband, it's a little bit different, and I think this is why I love him, because sometimes it's not about winning or losing; it's about the compromise, right? And that is the point. So when you're talking to the factory, it's not about you winning all the time. Sometimes you kind of need to give in and give them the opportunity to feel like they're winning, like they kind of got you, that they took over, right? Even though necessarily it's not true. I mean, all the ladies in the house will say, we nudge our men with certain subconscious ideas, and then they kind of come up with those ideas on their own,
Yeah.
right? So the same with the
Yeah.
factories, right? So
Yeah.
dig deep, see how your relationship within your household with your boyfriend or girlfriend works. Strategies are not much different. There sometimes needs to be a compromise. You sometimes can win, you sometimes can lose, but act humanely and try to get in a closer relationship with the person on the other side, right? Try, if you want to get something out of me, you can talk about riding motorcycles or travel or business. If you use those topics, I will be more inclined to talk to you, and I will put my guard down, and you will be more likely to get something out of me. I mean, not out of me, but in general, out of people. Yeah. So
I have a question for you. It's actually something it's funny that you show the sample with the carpets. It's another question, but I think it's a good question. So right now I found a product that's selling very, very well on Walmart. It's a cup. There is a design on it. Of course, I'm not going to copy the design, but I will do something similar. And I know the person that's selling it is probably he's not sitting on a stock because he's not a Walmart fulfilled. He doesn't have WFS, so he's not fulfilled from Walmart. The shipping take 10 days. So, and he's selling a lot. He's selling like around 200, 300 cups a month. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna manufacture it and have it at WFS, ready for the holiday season. And I know I can probably get a lot of those orders. So as a new seller, the thinking like that. So my first thought was, I want to find a manufacturer in the US. I don't want to run to China. I want to first test it. Order 100, 200, 300. So do you think it's the right, because we didn't talk about testing. Like, do you think somebody should go and order a big quantity, or should he test it with a smaller quantity first?
if you're a person who is just starting out in e-commerce in general in that field, I would say test it first. Again, we have two brands of our own, and when we were launching the first brand, we were testing everything. When we were launching the second brand, we already had double or triple the quantities because we knew this is going to sell. We knew how to sell it by then. If you're completely starting up, I would suggest smaller quantities at first, but you need to have the assurance that if you start selling, you can get more quantities as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I give you
Yeah,
an
a lot of
example of,
people. Yeah, I see a lot of sellers
that's
go
usually
to
the
that
problem.
point sometimes, like selling out, and it's like, oh, they don't have. Yeah. So
They don't plan, yeah.
so let's talk about a little bit about how do you find a winning product? Like, what do you recommend if somebody comes to you and is like, can you give me some tips on, like, I'm not sure what to sell. What would you tell them?
Everyone kind of has the same strategies, but everyone also gives a little bit of a different advice. From my perspective, because again, we're sellers ourselves, we look at it in two different ways. If you look at me, I'm more pragmatic. I want to sell what sells and not be attached to it, right? So I'm not trying to find something that I will personally like, that will give me an emotional connection. My husband, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. He will he will give away his last shirt or his last pair of underwear or anything just to make it work because he's so attached to it, right? Which is also, neither of those I think are good. So I think a good combination, and this is what we're actually, when people come to us, we suggest a good combination of something that might touch you a little bit on a personal level because you can have a better understanding of a product in that way because you're interested to learn about it. And of course, that it sells freakishly well. In general, currently, we see a lot of products that are recession proof. We're obviously not in the golden years of our global economy, so we need to take this into consideration, and we need to take into consideration that it will still last for a few years. So
Yes.
think about something that people will buy even when they have no money. So, Norm, what would you buy when you have no money? If you were
Food.
to have no food. All right, what else?
Coffee.
There is more.
Yeah,
Co-
coffee, cigars. Uh, I'm the wrong.
God, no,
I have no money.
he's not in
I,
recession.
yeah, well, cigars are so important. But let me see. What would I need to survive?
I think people will buy. They need like new underwear, new socks, and
Yes, I
if
mean
they need like
clothing's
their
important. So
Things
also,
for the house.
yeah.
yeah, things for the house, grooming products. Like there are certain things that you could cut out, but also grooming products, shampoos, conditioners, soaps, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
there's
and
basic
not
stuff.
only that, but if something also breaks in your house, right? Especially when you have recession and something breaks in your house. For example, we all have kitchens, we all have bathrooms, and under every kitchen, or like, in under every sink, there is a siphon, right? This thing. This is something that the person would go during the recession. If this breaks, you have no choice but to
Mhm.
go and buy a new one, and most likely you will do this yourself. And if a man of the house or the woman of the house can YouTube it for 5 minutes, he or she will know how to change it. So they're more likely to go online, buy it themselves, and change it at home. So those things that are a necessity, and also those things that needs to be purchased again and again and again. Like in US, every household has a dishwasher. Are they going to stop buying dishwashing tablets or powders or whatever you guys use
Yeah,
if there
no.
is recession? No, you will still buy them, and there will be category of people who will buy an eco version without plastics and this and that. And you have how many children?
Two.
Two. If you
Don't have
had
more.
no money, if you had no money, would you still be buying things for your children?
Of course.
Not mine.
Toilet paper, yes. We actually had a customer in Australia. Toilet paper and towels, kitchen towels and all of those things with special absorption. But children, for some people, they don't have children, they have pets, right?
Mhm.
And those pets, they are their children. And they will starve themselves, but they will buy the best for their pets and their children. So also,
Yeah.
kind of essential things.
I love this point. You know why? Because I'm working with so many brands for so many years on Walmart, and at this point right now, the success on Walmart is brands that selling things that are kind of necessary, basic, because Walmart customers are kind of used to. I think now Walmart is doing a great job of educating the customers and all the shoppers that you can find anything on Walmart. But I think they have a couple more years to catch up on that. But at this point, I see sellers that selling basic stuff like belts. They're making so much money. They're selling supplements. They're selling a pets supply, even backpacks or things like that. So I see a lot of brands do make the six figures a month and the seven figures a year. It is happening right now on Walmart, but it's really the most simple things, like just like even like garlic press, things like that. The most basic stuff are making so much money on Walmart, and I think that's really kind of where people should go thinking about the recession and just basic stuff, and you will see a lot of success on that on Walmart.
The other
Yeah.
thing too,
But
uh,
sorry, go ahead, Norm.
yeah, sorry. The other thing too is do it yourself. People are ready to make things themselves. So that market, that hobbyist market, even though it's a recession, tends to pick up. But anything baby, pet, uh, done for you, and internal, like if it's household games or things like that, where you can work with the family or play with the family. Those are all things that are done. And camping, for example, outdoors activities that are cheap. These are
Yeah.
all things that you could take a look at.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
time.
And I think what you're saying about Walmart, there is a little bit, because Walmart is a little bit of a different, it's not quality,
Mhm.
but different essentials for which people are going for in Walmart. So some of the products that are selling extremely well on Amazon, I think, this is my opinion only, I don't think some of those like really top sellers will necessarily be top sellers in Walmart.
Yeah,
Why? Because people might not necessarily be familiar with them. So they will not be even thinking, oh, I can buy this in Walmart, or this is
yeah,
something interesting for my household. So there
yeah,
is a difference here as well. Some of those things sell online very well, others not so much. But
yeah.
what Norm said about games and all of those things, I mean, during Corona, all of this is completely skyrocketed. But because, I mean, how much does it cost to go to the movies in US? I mean, in Germany, to
And
go to the movies, like 25, like $20 per ticket, maybe, and then you get popcorn and stuff. So you're at $40 altogether. So how much does it cost in the US?
I think around the same, like $10 the ticket and like another
And then
15,
they kill you
depending
on the
spend on the.
confession, yeah, or the
You would spend more
affectionate,
on the popcorn, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is not cheap, right? So it's becoming more and more expensive. People are not making more money, but things are becoming more expensive. So yes, absolutely. Products such as games, especially, all of those, like in US, it's extremely popular. You guys have a lot of, big houses with big yards. Even family that might have a bit of a lower income, a lot of them still have a standalone house with a small yard. Those giant Jengas. This is a lot cheaper, fun for a whole family, weekends and things like this. So those products still sell well. And absolutely, also, I agree with Norm about the DIY products. People like to do things on their own, and it's still holding after the Corona, where it skyrocketed. It's still holding and growing still bit by bit. So that's also a wonderful category to consider. And one of the Marcia or Marcia, sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. She mentioned toothpaste. Toothpaste is an awesome product because you can actually produce this easily and private label in United
Yeah.
States of America.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to China. And you can do it, the toothpaste, you can do it in tablets, you can do it in powders and all of those things. So opportunities are endless. You just need
Yes,
to, figure them out.
I agree. I agree. Norm, you want
Yeah,
to take the
so
next question?
no, I really like the just thinking about what's next. If you're coming into this, your new private label seller, everything that we've touched on so far, being able to negotiate. I do want to go back to that negotiate for 1 minute. If you decide that you're going to negotiate, and you do, I mean, it would be crazy not to, but you get your MOQs down, you start to get your price down, and the manufacturer and you go back and forth, back and forth. One thing I can state is that there's a certain point where if you negotiate too far, that and your supplier doesn't win. So if you're really tightening the belt, and you'll know when this happens. So usually they'll come to a final standstill, and you'll try to get more, and then they'll go back to their manager, and then you'll say, well, until we can get another 10%, we're not going to move forward. They'll go back, and you'll know the battle when that happens, because usually it'll be a little bit of a struggle, but when it gets really tough and they have to get their managers involved, or their so-called managers, then you know that you're beating them down. If you beat them down too much and they're producing that order for you, if they're not making any money, you'll find out that your third or fourth or fifth order is either cutting corners, or you're in the priority list. You'll be way down, and it's not important to them to produce that product for them because they're not making any money. So I've seen this with certain people that think that they're winning because they've nickel and dimed them down to the last penny. But if your supplier can't make a buck, then there's going to be a problem. I don't know if you've seen that, Yulia.
Oh, time and time again, but we usually, honestly, we tend to kind of not fire the customers at this stage.
Yeah.
Look, the point being is this is business. We're all in it to make money. So if you have selected the product and at the price that you're trying to sell it, if you're not going to be making enough money and you already know this from the beginning, drop the product.
Right.
There's only so much that you can push the supplier and that you should push the supplier. We had so like literally on so many occasions our customer would come to us, no, I want a lower price and everything like this, and I have to have a call with them because the project manager is like, Yulia, I don't know what to do anymore. I have a call with the customer and say, guys, you have a choice. We're gonna push again, and the supplier is gonna say goodbye. 再见, right? Choose in whatever language we're talking. They're gonna say goodbye. We do not want to work with you. Why? Because you are a problematic customer. Even before you place your first order, and they will see this, they will drop you. You're not the king of the world. You're not the queen of the world. They have other options. Currently, there is more demand than there is supply. So you need to be extremely aware of this. Yes, we face such situations time and time again. Our job is to educate the customer when it is time to stop pushing. And it is, because otherwise they might lose potentially a very good manufacturer. And again, don't sell the products if you know from the beginning you're not going to have any margin on it.
Yeah,
It happens,
that's so important. And something else, like people ask Michaela, myself, well, how much profit should I have in? Like, what type of margins? And I have a really simple formula. It doesn't have to be complicated, except you have to know all your costs. You have to bring them all. You have to know those numbers. But if I have a landed cost, I multiply it by 4. That's it. I multiply it by 4. If it's not by 4 or more, then I can't. I just had that conversation with a client today where we were around 3.25. And it was like, we got to rethink this, because if you're not at 4, then it's very hard to be profitable, because you have to think of all the marketing that goes involved with it. And a lot of people don't consider certain costs. There might be certain fees, referral fees, the pick, pack, and ship fees from WFS. I mean, there's all little costs, last mile fees, but these all have to be in the inserts, any type of packaging or shrink wrap or anything like that, handwritten notes. But that's important. But all right, I got a question. So the expenses, this is kind of just leveraging what I just was saying, is what type of expenses should we expect when we're creating these products?
Well, actually, if you're truly really detail oriented, so you're German, for example, or you're just, a person with a mathematical mind or something like this, you need to start from the beginning, right? So if you're creating, for example, a private label, you will need to create a brand, meaning you're creating, I don't know, a logo, design, and all of those things. And people usually kind of don't even take that and put this into the cogs, right? Into the whole price, into the landed cost, when in reality you should. But taking that aside, you have the product price, you have the quality inspection that I truly, really suggest to everyone. It doesn't matter where you produce, whether you produce in US, in Germany, in Timbuktu, or in China, do the quality inspection. Because not once, do it every time before you ship the product. You spend a couple of $100, but you will have so much safety, and you will save yourself a lot of money and trouble. So you have the product price, you have the quality control, you have the shipping costs, you have the import costs, VAT, right? So, but VAT I kind of don't really count, for example, in Europe, because you of course get it back. And then if you're having a warehouse that is, or storage fees, shipping fees, and all of those things. So these are kind of the basics. You can add on PPC, CPC, and all of those things as well, which you honestly should. But this kind of comes later on after you already launched the products. So in the beginning, pay attention. Product price, quality control, shipping cost, import tax, and the storage that you're paying before the goods are shipped to the final customer, and the final shipping fee, last mile delivery, drop shipping, pick and pack fee, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so those are the major costs that I would consider for the beginner. If that kind of works out for you, that's great. But then the advertising costs, of course, later on come on top. So before you start selling, you do need to consider them. So Norm, how much do you suggest to put on top as an advertising cost in
Well,
terms of percentage?
on top of a percentage, I kind of build that into the 4 times, but typically I'd run about while I'm getting this going, about a 20 to 30% of my overall budget is going towards marketing and ads.
Yeah. Exactly, because your number is 4. Like in terms of, if you're buying a product or if you want to sell a product for $60, divide by 4. This should be your landed cost. But I heard anywhere from 3 to 6. Right, so because it also depends on the country that you're selling in, right? We all have different costs, different taxes and things like this. And in US, one of the hard things is, of course, if you're buying in China, there are certain products that go under what is famous in the industry as a Trump tax, right? The taxes on the products that come from China into the US that have additional like 25% on top of the normal tax. And basically, you're not only breaking even, you are losing money. And this is something, so if you're sourcing and trying to buy your private label products from China, please make sure that your product doesn't go under this Trump tax, and make sure to know the exact percentage of the import tax that goes upon your product, because this can save you, or this can break you or make you.
Yeah.
We have a customer. They don't sell on Walmart. They don't sell on Amazon. They have their own e-commerce store. Those guys come from marketing, and let's say they did the sourcing on their own. They went to China, and the factory really, really had them. So they said, your initial order quantity should be $150,000. The guy said, okay, not a problem. Boom. I'm like, all right, that's good. But then the sourcing agent that they were using, he neglected to mention that there is the Trump tax on this particular product. So by the time they get this into US, they're not breaking even. They're losing money. They're losing like 50 cents on each and every product. We've resolved this situation, but like it's 150K.
Wow.
So it's insane. Yeah.
But I think all of us in this business, we all been through those losses. It's really part of the,
Yeah, just to understand it.
Yeah, to understand how to do it right. Yeah, I cannot even, say enough about how important is quality control. And I know Norm can say so much about that, but let's talk about it. Let's take a quick break for our sponsors and be right back.
Wallysmarter.com is a cutting edge software tool designed to help online sellers make more money on Walmart.com. Featuring advanced keyword and product research tools, Wallysmarter identifies high demand, low competition niches for you to capitalize on. With more accurate Walmart sales estimates provided by its easy to use Chrome extension, Wallysmarter takes all the guesswork out of selling on Walmart. Be empowered to make more informed decisions and grow your business like never before. Try Wallysmarter today with no credit card required. Did I say no credit card required? Anyways, use your coupon code POWER30 and get 30% off Wallysmarter today for life.
So let's continue talking about quality control. Me and Norm, actually, we had that conversation. I think was it our last live or so why is it so important to do quality control?
Because during the quality control process, you can catch something that the workers look. The process goes like this. Every factory has quality control person who supposedly checks every item that goes through, right? Or there is By now, on a lot of factories, there is like automated machinery that checks all of this. But your stuff changes all the time. People lose track. People get distracted. Like most of the time, the mistakes are happen because of the human factor, right? Because people only can pay so much attention. When I was living in China, I was working for a very, very, very large company that manufactured shoes. It was a brand, a very big brand for shoes. One time we went to the factory. Imagine the factory the size of, I don't know, or a warehouse, half of an American football field, where you get play American football and things like this. So this whole factory is filled with boxes of the shoes that we ordered. You know how we just like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pairs of shoes. So the way we did quality control is we would ask one of the workers, please, and we would climb on top, stacked maybe 10 boxes like master cartons, one on top of the other. We climb on top of this mountain of boxes and we tell him, go over there, pick up the box first from the bottom, and absolutely completely random boxes, right? We pick them up, we go together in a room, they start opening the boxes, and you kind of have a production line. You have a couple of guys standing on your right side, on your left. On your right side, one takes out of the master carton, another one takes out of the shoe box, and another one takes all of the inner linings of the shoes, and then another one quickly looks at the shoes and gives them to you. So we're doing quality control, everything's okay, everything's going, and zoom, something flies out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So he just threw the shoe out of the window behind him. Like literally, because he saw it, the quality was bad, and he just threw it out. We're like, what the hell is going on? Stop, right? So we stopped immediately. We went outside, we found the shoe, we looked at it, the quality was bad. So we completely stopped the inspection, and they had to re-look like everything. They had to redo absolutely everything, all of the items. The quality control is important because you will save a lot of money in the long run. You want to make sure that your customers get value overload, right? We're all expecting like I order from Amazon in Germany. Amazon in Germany is absolutely insane. Our quality here needs to be beyond high because the Germans complain all the time. So if you have a product that has 4 stars in Germany, in US, it will have 6 stars. I know that doesn't exist, but it will. So the quality needs to be extremely high. We have, for some customers, we do 100% quality inspection. That's what they order because they want every item to be perfect because the competition is so high. I'm not saying do 100% quality inspection all the time, but do it to make sure that your customer gets the best and that you don't have to worry every time that you wake up in the morning and you look at the messages in your emails, in your Amazon app, in your Walmart app, that there are messages coming from customers who gave you bad ratings and complain about your product. No one wants this. Spend a few $100, give yourself a peace of mind, and give the best quality to your customers that is simply possible. Yeah. We produce one of our products in China since 2014, and we work with the same factory for all these years. We still do quality control each and every single time before the shipment goes out. And we do the same for Germany. Our second brand is fully made in Germany. We do quality control each and every time. I don't care if you're Germans or Chinese, people make mistakes. That's it.
Yeah, you've got to be able to do that each and every order, or the the one time you don't do it, it'll come back and it'll bite you 2 ways. One on your reviews and in your pocketbook.
Yeah,
it's always that one time.
And you can lose so much money because if 20% of this merchandise it's not sellable, it's all lost. I had one time the luck to order a big order from India. It was a stainless steel product, and I think 40%, and we didn't do quality control. And 40% had scratches on it, so it was not sellable. That was a big loss of money. So I learned the hard way, but it is important.
The worst story we have, we know this guy, he's a friend We didn't do sourcing for him or anything like this. He just came to us to cry at some point. His order was about 100K, about 100,000 euros. So that's 110, $115,000. He checked the samples, everything was great. But he literally decided to skip the quality control, which costs a few $100. All the goods, when they came, they were absolutely not sellable. The manufacturer, of course, did not return the money. And not only that, but he needed to pay extra 8,000 euros to dispose of the products properly in Germany. A
Yes.
few
All right.
$100.
All right. I've got one. I've got one.
Yeah.
So there was these fridge magnets, okay, kids fridge magnets, and when they came over, the inspection wasn't done, so the magnet fell out, and so you'd have these boxes with 68 pieces in it, and magnets were falling out. So it's a kid's toy. So what do kids do with little bubblegum
They
shaped?
put,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it became a
Oh,
choking hazard. So, anyways, there was a recall. We tried to get it done in the U.S. There was a total of 420 or 480,000 pieces that had to be
holy.
removed from the poly bag, spread out, glue, put the magnet in, put them back in the poly bag, put them back in the box, and put them back up for sale. So the cost, just the cost to do this was $155,000 in the US. So we ended up shipping it over to China, and we got them to do it. We had 22 people working for 2 weeks to do it, and it was a lot less. I forget what the cost was, but $155,000 in the US if we were to have it done there.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the US currently. The if you take like the 3PL warehouses, pick and pack places, and all of those places, normally, for example, they charge about $40 per hour for if you want to kit something, right? So, for example, you have a box and you want to put this and that and that. So, yeah, you calculate based on this, and oh my
Bundles.
god,
Yeah.
but
Even more.
yeah.
Even more than that.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about getting the product. So we found the product. Let's say it's coming over from China or wherever you want it to come from. But what are some of the best ways to ship your inventory? Let's just stick to overseas.
So my suggestion, this is what we do. I'm giving examples based on what we do. Others do it in different ways as well. So some people just they take the sea freight. Let's say we're going from China to US, right? They take the sea freight all the way because they're very smart. They planned very well. Everything went perfectly. They don't have a rush or anything like this. As much as I plan, and I'm very anal about it, I'm not German, but I'm still very detail oriented. Usually, we try to always start our sales as soon as possible, especially if it's a new product. So I like if the product is not heavy, is not very large in terms of volume. I like to ship maybe 20% of the quantity by air, right? Again, if the price is decent, you ship within basically 2 weeks, you can already start selling. Like it arrives, you start selling. By that, and it gains sales velocity, it starts selling, it's wonderful. By the time you're kind of running out of this stock, the rest of your stuff arrives, meaning you didn't waste 1.5 months of sales, but you're actually capitalized on that particular time. So I suggest to split. Of course, if you're shipping to Europe, we have a few options. We have sea freight and we have rail freight. If you're shipping to US, you pretty much only have the sea freight, which is the cheapest one in comparison to air freight. Please make sure to consider different national holidays, right? So national holidays in the country where you're shipping from, and national holidays in US as well, right? So for example, there was recently the 4th of July. It's not like the customs doesn't work completely, but they're more relaxed. Let's put it this way,
Right.
right? They're not kind of working at a full capacity. In countries like China, in countries like India, you have sometimes very prolonged holidays because people need the chance to travel home, and they might be living thousands of kilometers away from where they work to where their home is, and they only go there once a year. So the government kind of combines many different things, and you have longer holidays. And before that, the shipping vessels, right, the actual ship, they're booked out already months in advance. So when we want to ship something before Chinese New Year, I prefer to ship in beginning of December, so, or at the end of November. So I will have enough stock that it will cover me until March, preferably, right? Because that's when I can most likely ship the next stock. But again, in between, you can always use a little bit of air freight if you're smarter than us, because our product, our second brand is actually skincare for men, all made in Germany. But in the beginning, we were getting the glass jars because it's very special glass. We're getting them from China. We were selling out like crazy. We had to ship like 3,000 pieces of glass jars by air freight. That
Oh,
was it was out of complete and utter necessity. We didn't realize that it would sell so well. But pre-plan and make sure you're aware of national holidays and you book well in advance. It sounds complicated, but actually it's not so much. For every country, I know when the national holidays are, and I just want to make sure that I'm a little bit more prepared.
very good.
I think we're gonna go to our last question. I have so much more questions. We're probably gonna need to invite you again. But do you think there is still money to be making in private label? Would you recommend people to still go and create their brands and source for product?
I work in an industry where people make thousands of dollars and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm proud to say that we work with both types of customers. Like Amazon, for example, is one of our customers. But at the same time, we work with people like we have this lady. She is a nurse in Paris in a hospital. She just recently started her own clothing brand. We're manufacturing for her in Pakistan, and she's doing very well. She has good margins, she has wonderful products, she's very proud, and she's growing. She has supplementary income, and she doesn't want to quit nursing, but she wants to have something on the side that will allow her maybe to travel more, this and that, and kind of fulfill her passion. Is there money? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Should you do this? Yes. You need to get if this is something that you want, that you were dreaming of or you're considering, don't directly discount it because it's hard. In this game, the only people that will win are the ones who will push themselves out of their comfort zone, and through that pain, will learn and go to the next stage, next stage, next stage, right? We all get comfortable, and this is when we start to lose. When we started, my husband was working a full-time job. And then every evening, this was 2014, there were no services for anything, like for e-commerce, nothing. There was nothing. It was a whole different world. And he was sitting until 1 o'clock in the morning every day. And then he would get up at 5:30 and go to work again for weeks, for months. And then it accumulated, and you need to go through the hard stuff in order to get onto the other side. It is what it is. Yeah. So yeah, I would suggest go. There is still potential. There are tons of things that people are still missing in this world, and e-commerce in so many countries is just starting to develop, right? US is like the pinnacle of, whoa, e-commerce online. Other countries, so much lower. There's so much potential.
One thing that, oh, sorry, Mikkel.
Just a quick question, because she knows so much. Like, what do you see like after the US? Where is like you think the best marketplace e-commerce for e-commerce?
we actually have a lot of people who sell, for example, in Mexico, which is weird, right? You would think I should manufacture products in Mexico and not sell.
Yeah.
Germany is a great country. If you take European Union in general, you have lots of different online e-commerce platforms. Amazon is not even the biggest. Every country actually has their own platform that is bigger than Amazon in volume. So this is something to consider because people don't even think about this.
Yeah.
India is going like crazy. And you know what? You can also sell in China. Products made in US of A sell like hot pancakes in China, especially
Interesting.
cosmetics with the whitening skin, because they all want to be have a I want to be dark and I want to have a tan. They have the other thinking. China is
Interesting.
wonderful. Japan is great, but Japan is a bit kinky. I wouldn't start with them. But Germany, UK, great markets.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to mention about getting involved with either e-commerce, Walmart, is that I would not recommend people getting in if you don't have the money to risk. This is risk. You could win, you could lose, but if this is your last dollar, I would definitely stay away and save. You can save up and then you get in here, take a proper course, listen to podcasts, whatever it is. But I would highly recommend that. I've seen it where people just threw in their last dollar.
Yeah.
I know, like, I literally had a guy contact me that just sold his pickup truck. He wanted to literally, he wanted to get into the game. And anyways, the other thing that, as you were talking, one thing, if you're interested in getting into a product, I've seen this be successful too. If you're into snorkeling or scuba diving, or you're a tech guy or person, what can you see in that industry, in that niche, that needs to be improved? If I'm in dog grooming, I have nothing. I know nothing about dog grooming, but dog groomers do. And they have, oh, I wish. If you ever say, I wish, then there's a need.
Yeah.
So take that and you can run with. That's just another option for you
Yeah.
to take a look at.
I agree. If you can take something and make it better, and this is where all my idea come. Usually is, how can I make this product better? Or my at my for many years, where I actually find product is looking for keywords, what people are searching for. So I start there. This is how I like to start my journey. But I think with working with so many sellers and see the one that fell in and the one that succeeding, there's one thing that the one that succeed have is the right mindset, understanding that it's a journey and it's going to be always obstacles, and you need to stand up again and keep on going, because it's yeah, it's tough. It's very tough e-commerce, especially with with Amazon asking you all these documents, and now Walmart starting to ask for documents. So be prepared. You manufacture something, make sure you get everything documented. Make sure you're working with a manufacturer that have good communication with you. But yeah, definitely, I'm a big believer in private label.
I think one of other things that I would suggest is also becoming part of some sort of communities.
Mm-hmm.
Groups on Facebook, groups on WhatsApp, Telegram, going to meetups. There are tons of different, like in US, there are tons of different meetups for Walmart sellers, for e-commerce, drop shipping, and all of those things. This is a very lonely, like for me, it's a little bit easier, right? Because me and my husband, we're doing this together. We have each other, but we also have community and other people. Because sometimes my husband would come to me and I'm like, go away. Please, go talk to someone. I just need a break, right? Because you need to kind of divide business and kind of home life. So it's very important to have as crazy as it sounds, it's very important to have people to talk to have a community,
Yeah.
to share your success, but also to ask questions, to share failure, to cry on someone's shoulder, and to have this mental support. We're living in such an age where information flows, it's insane. So we need to be grounded by other people a little bit as well, and have that support. So this is definitely that I would suggest. There's so much information online, different podcasts, like this podcast, video cast like this one, where you can learn tons of information. But discuss it with others as well, and maybe hold each other accountable, like accountability buddies when you're losing weight or doing sports or something like this. The same thing goes for business. If you have the responsibility towards someone else that you kind of don't want to fail in their eyes, you will work harder. It's just a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it for today's podcast. Yulia, how do people get a hold of you?
I think you guys shared the website, zignify.net, not Zipify, Zignify. And all of our contact information is there. If you want to get in touch with me, Yulia Blinova on LinkedIn, always there. If you guys have any questions, just hit me up. Again, we also try to provide customer value overload. So, no charge or anything, just ask me questions and I will try to help out as much as possible.
All right.
We all need help, a little bit of help sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. That was some great information. Mikkel, anything to say? Last words?
No, that was, I love to talk about private labels. So yeah, we definitely need to bring you back. And thank you everyone. And have a great weekend.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye, Norm.